Hey, Karin! It's Karin's Christmas cracker. Here we are. Not wonderful Christmas, somewhere in the middle of December 2020. Indeed, in fact, if we were to be specific, it would be the December the 12th in the middle of VegFest UK online. It's actually 6 o'clock in the UK, and we're live with Karin's Christmas cracker. And it'll be Karin, it is your Christmas cracker, so it'll be pretty much your show. And there'll be, I think, a couple of guests coming on. But I think we should just say, first of all, so unfortunately, we have had a guest that can't make it. So sad to say that Lucy Watson got in touch very short while ago to say that she wasn't able to make it. We were expecting Lucy on at 6 o'clock. I do have to say, unfortunately, people, if you've tuned in to see Lucy, we're not able to see Lucy. Lucy's not able to join us. It's obviously a big disappointment for all, but I'm sure Lucy's fine and everything will be okay. We warmest wishes to Lucy, and we will be having a quick chat later. But Lucy's not able to join us. But Karin, that is sad, but this gives us the opportunity to talk even more to our two guests. So before we bring in our first guest, just tell us a bit about the show. There's two guests who are going to be going on. You might mention our second guest before, and we're going to be chatting for an hour or so. Is that right?
Yes, we are. And I'm looking festive, although my name thing has sort of covered up my festive, well, the Christmas dress that I put on for tonight's Christmas cracker, because I am feeling festive, and I think we need to bring that back to the UK at the moment. I always took my name off now so you can see more of my Father Christmas dress. You've got to dress for the occasion, haven't you? Well, as I said earlier in VegFest UK chat, which we did this morning, we get to hang out with some fantastic people. There's inspirational vegans, there's experts, there's doctors. And I also like to find out about, there's some great influencers, there's some actors, there's musicians, and they can be quite, very well known. We just were speaking to Peter Egan, a great friend who won the Inspirational Vegan. And I'm just quite a nosy person, my lovely viewer, because I just love to find out about people. And I find, what makes them vegan? What was that inspirational moment for them? What's their life? I mean, Tim and I have got about 60 flipping years of veganism between us. So we are just, we don't know any different. But there's some people that are quite new to different, and to being vegan, and they have got quite a nice high profile, and they love sharing their vegan message. We're going to be speaking to two brilliant actors who we all love and know. We've got Danny Hatchard, who actually wrote for Veggie Vision a little while ago for me. A really inspirational guy. You've got to check out his YouTube. Been on TV, EastEnders, Our Girl, Ridley Road, lots of really high-profile programmes. And he loves being vegan, which is great to hear. And later on, we are going to be joined by the wonderful Gary Webster, the actor as well. I do say the husband of Wendy Turner-Webster, because I've known Wendy Turner-Webster for many, many years. And Gary was a passionate vegetarian for many years. Then he decided to do Veganuary, and he hasn't looked back. He loves being vegan. So I think both of our guests spent time in Brentwood in Essex. Gary is actually from Essex, which is great. It's just down the road to me. Both are actors. Both are really cool guys. And both have been in EastEnders. How crazy is that? But I'm so excited, and we're really lucky to have their support because, it's a busy time of year. Everybody's got stuff to do. But hopefully we have the one and only Danny Hatchard waiting in the wings.
Hello. Yay! How you doing? Right.
Oh, good to see you, Danny. Where are you joining us from? Now, you said you're not in Essex at the moment, are you?
No, I don't live in Essex. No, I live in North London.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, are you feeling a bit festive for our Christmas cracker? I can't see a Christmas tree behind you.
There is a Christmas tree right in front of me, so you're getting the back of my front room at the moment.
Oh, well, look, thanks for joining us. I want to hear about you. you and your fantastic acting career as well. And also, because it is Veg Fest, we want to find out a little bit more about your vegan journey, your thoughts about veganism. Um, you know, I've been vegan about 25 years. Tim's been vegan about 40 years. So we're kind of like, we've probably been vegan just when you was a tiny kid or before you were born. What was your turning point, first of all, Danny?
Well, I must say, first of all, 25 years and 40 years, I mean, that's astounding. So many congratulations to you for lasting that long. And what
we haven't run out of protein yet. We're getting
I'll B12. You look very B12 deficient, all of you.
Yeah,
you can see. Honestly, you need to get some B12 in your system. Honestly, it's just a liberty. But, no, honestly, and a fantastic achievement. So congratulations to you both. And also, what an exciting time to be alive with the way that veganism is progressing and they're ever progressing. Veganuary is a massive success, and people, and I think more so now with the internet and the exposure that we have now with regards to how veganism and being vegan can be so great for your health, so great for the environment, and also hugely educational in terms of exposing exactly what animal agriculture does to the poor fur babies out there who are suffering. I wish I could have said that, I've hit decades long for being a vegan, but unfortunately, it's only coming up to a couple of years. But there is absolutely no going back for me. I am vegan through and through. Still learning, might I add. There's still a lot to learn. There's still a lot of questions. There's still a lot of labels I have to read. But I am certainly enjoying the process. And as I said in the piece that I wrote for Veggie Vision, I do feel more human for it.
That's wonderful. And it was because you've had some big loves of your life, your companion animals, your dogs, and that was part of your journey, wasn't it? It really resonated with you, and especially sadly when you lost them. I know it's a very sad thing to talk about, but that seemed to me from what you've said that that was a big turning point for you to make that decision, wasn't it? Do you feel that you kind of equated your companion animal along with the animals that people choose to eat?
Yeah, and prematurely, may I add, Django. I adopted Django. I say adopted, purchased, adopted, however you want to put it. I like to say adopted. It sounds a little bit more natural. I adopted Django as my little fur baby back in 2016, I believe it was, and maybe even 2015. I can't even remember. And yeah, he sadly passed away prematurely at the age of 2 years and 1 month. And as I said in the article that I wrote for you, during the grieving process, and it was the most horrific grieving process I've ever been through. I've lost very close family members, but nothing had ever hit me like the loss of Django. He was with me every day. I made sure that he was in certain contracts for certain jobs because I refused to go without him, because he was, it was kind of like having a child, I would absolutely compare it to a human child, because to me, in terms of emotional attachment, I don't think there really is any difference. And other than one can speak to you and one can maybe perhaps live a little bit longer. But after he died, during the grieving process, I immediately became detached to what I was eating, which was meat products. Everything. I'd eat anything. I've got a huge appetite. I'm a growing lad. And the smell of meat made me feel very sick, and I couldn't figure out why. And I was thinking it was maybe a side effect of grief, but I think subconsciously, I'm a very emotional. I'm a very emotional person. I'm very. I like to consider myself compassionate. I think very deep in my subconscious, it finally clicked that I was eating sentient beings that were fully capable of the emotional intelligence that Django had, and for me, it was just an absolute no-brainer to just knock it on the head. I went vegetarian first, and although this is some people in the vegan world, they do, try to encourage people to go vegan straight away. But I think, there's a lot of people out there, ignorance is bliss. There's a lot of people out there who are scared to just jump straight into veganism because it can become very overwhelming at the start. So, I try to detach myself from cheese and dairy products quite quickly. And then eventually, entered into the vegan world and became vegan. I couldn't tell you when I became vegan. I just woke up one day and realized I wasn't eating any more products that come from animals anymore. For me, it was a decision to wean myself off of those products and just and go through a journey and embrace this adventure to completely take animal products away from my diet. And just from typical lifestyle things as well, like I'm avoiding all leather products and any, even alcohol. I won't drink ale or beer or wine that's been fined through a fish product. I think if you're going to become vegan for the animals, and then you need to do it full out. But again, it's a journey, it's an adventure. It's you are going to make mistakes on the way, but I think it's the thought and the intention behind it that counts. And I feel very proud and very happy and content that I'm in this journey. So yeah,
I love it. I love what you're saying. It really resonates with me. Because I've got the pleasure over the years of speaking to many people at Veg Fest, regular people, celebrities, singers, doctors, and I think what you're saying really will resonate with our viewers, because it is a very exciting journey, and many people come to that realization that actually I'm eating an animal. For me, it was I'm eating the rotting flesh of a dead animal, and I think far too much of myself to put that in my body. It was very selfish reasons, I think, first of all. For me, yes, we could all be junk food vegans, and I love a bit of flipping vegan junk food, don't we all? But I feel that, when we go vegan and we do incorporate the rainbow of food, and we incorporate wonderful vegan products, we can see some really good health benefits. For me, and I know probably for you, Danny, that may be just like a byproduct of veganism. But on your journey, because it's just been the past few years, have you noticed, any changes? Have you just felt better in yourself, or do you not feel much different to when you were, before your vegan journey?
You see, there are a lot of people that do feel a significant difference, and I'm not one for lying to, propagate an idea. So I have to be honest with you and say, personally, I hadn't felt a significant difference. But I think the main reason for that was because my body is my business. I've been dancing since I was like 13. I'd always eaten relatively healthily anyway. So for me, there wasn't much of a difference, but there wasn't any negative side effects at all. If anything, I probably had a tiny bit more energy, but that may have been the fact that I just felt a little bit better about myself for not consuming a dead animal. But there are certainly a lot of people out there I know who have went vegan, who have noticed all sorts of interesting, positive side effects, shall I say? Some are quite funny, actually.
Are you going to spill the
well, I don't know if this is an 18. Is this an 18 plus?
I'm wondering whether I should ask you or not. Tim can make the call on that.
Let's just say it has certain placebo effects. There's certain aphrodisiac effects, shall I say? Yeah, it's definitely something that I feel good about, more so with my mind. I feel like my mind has been it feels healthier. they say, you know, mind and body are two are the same thing. You've got to look after. You can't just look after one or the other. You've got to look after both. And I feel like being vegan, you're looking after both. You know, I feel like a more compassionate human being, and I also feel like I'm giving my body what it needs. And which is ironic because, as you were saying before, there's a lot of people out there that think we're protein deficient or B12 deficient. And might I add, I had some blood tests last year, about a year after I went vegan, and they checked all of my bloods to make sure that everything was good and it was top notch. I wasn't deficient in anything, and this was a good solid year afterwards. So yeah, no, it's it all depends on what you eat. You know, if you just eat the same old thing over and over again, and you don't apply a little bit of imagination in what you're eating and what you're cooking, then yeah, of course you're going to be deficient in certain things. But that's the same as if you was to eat meat.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Very true. I know Tim's got some questions. I've got some questions. Tim, do you?
Yeah, I was listening. That's really interesting, actually, Danny, because, you know, it is true. Some of us have been vegan a long time. Part of the issue that you see in people who've been vegan a long time, sometimes they just forget what it was like to be not vegan. And nearly all of us were not vegan at some stage. I mean, Karin, you joke about all this time we've been vegan, but it seems like yesterday to me.
Yeah, me too.
It seems like long ago. I mean, it's only 37 years or something. And it seems like, you know, just not long ago. And I think we do. Some people do forget. It's important to understand that it's easy to go vegan in principle. It's great to understand to perhaps to ask why I should go vegan. When you understand why you should go vegan, then the journey begins. You know, so the whole transformation can take a while, and people go at different pace, different stages, and people do take different approaches and different time. But it is really interesting to hear people like yourself who've not been vegan that long, a couple of years or so. Of course, a huge amount of people have done that, and to listen to how you sort of, you know, what's important. We were listening to Peter Regan earlier, and I mean, Peter Regan is in his 70s or something, but again, actually only in the last few years gone vegan.
I know Peter, actually. Me and Peter know each other.
Yeah.
No. We actually have the same. Not only do we have the same agent, but we met at the Animal Hero Awards. So I'm a regular visitor of the Animal Hero Awards, and we both were on the panel this year as well.
Oh, that's wonderful! It is a bit of an incestuous small world at times.
It is.
Our inspirational award here. So
he's phenomenal. He's a phenomenal human being, and he's incredibly honest.
Yeah.
You know, he's incredibly honest. He'll be the first person to turn around and tell you that he used to love to eat meat beforehand. But I think there is no time like the present. You know, you can't feel bad about your past. And also, may I add, which is I think a very important thing for all of the people out there that are questioning as to whether they want to even entertain veganism or vegetarianism, whatever step they want to take first, even pescatarianism. Not that you should be, emotionally detached from fish, but it's a start. It's better than eating meat. I think it's really important that people realise that we're fighting a good fight here. We're not trying to force people into a new way of life because we're not tyrants. We're not despotic people. We don't want to force you into a new way of life just because we don't like you. Do you know what I mean? We quite simply are passionate about one thing and want you to join us and be part of the family. And not only that, we want, sometimes we can come across quite aggressive in the way that we speak, but it's not because we feel like you've done something wrong or we think you're a horrible person. I think it's because actually we know that millions of animals are dying and it makes us fucking sad. Sorry, it does. And therefore, when we talk to people and we try to encourage them to perhaps, entertain the idea of, you know, trying different products that are perhaps, you know, venture away from animal products, it's not because, you know, we're horrible people. It's not. It's purely because we want to try to, because we believe you are good. You're a good person. You're a compassionate person, and you deserve to be on this journey. Not because we believe you should, but we believe that you belong on this journey because you're a good person. It's as simple as that. It's like I always say to somebody, you know, a pig has the emotional maturity of a 4-year-old. They're generally more intelligent than dogs. I always ask the question, you know, I try not to come across any way condescending. I just always say, would you eat a dog? And they always obviously say no. And then, you know, you got some people that just for the sake of an argument say yes, and I go, fine, go along your merry way. But most people say no. And that's because they're compassionate people, and they have at some point in their life formed an emotional attachment with a dog. And I say, well, okay, then, a pig, an emotional, they've got the emotional maturity of a 4-year-old child. If I was to put you in an environment with a pig and you got to know that pig and you grew to love that pig, would you then slaughter and eat that pig afterwards? And every single person says no. And it's just like, well, you have, whether you like it or not, eaten hundreds, maybe even thousands of those pigs. And it's probably a good idea for you to, you know, perhaps be a little bit more considerate of the fact that they didn't want to die. And you know, look after yourself a little bit better, and, you know, just generally try to, you know, venture away from that. And it's the same with chickens. You know, you know, the family quite close to me, they have chickens in their back gardens, and I go out in the garden with them every morning, and they've all got individual personalities. You know, I don't think there is an animal out there that doesn't have a personality. And it's, you know, without kind of going off on a tangent, I just think it's I wanted to say that when vegans talk to people and we talk to them about potentially entertaining a vegan diet, it is purely because we want to encourage them to go down a path that is probably more suitable to them as nice and generous people. And that's about it. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm completely...
Danny, we're all hanging on your every word. I absolutely love how you speak and your passion. Yeah. You're absolutely a breath of fresh air, and it's great to see, you know, it's great to see a young man, to be honest, as well, with this passion and drive, and we are hanging on your every word. I know we've got some slides as well. If Pete, the producer, is on the ball, maybe sure. You can run the slides as well so we can see some of Danny's images.
Just before we get those slides, so Danny, I just want to ask you, I mean, you're well known as an actor. You've been in quite a lot of productions and dances and such like, but you are quite well known, especially for being in EastEnders. That's probably what a lot of people will know you for, because of course EastEnders is such a huge programme.
Yes.
And was it a couple of years ago? I think you were he was the son of who's it? Mick and Linda. Mick and Linda, that's right. Mick and Linda Carter. I remember watching some of that. I haven't watched EastEnders for ages, actually, but I'm sure a lot of people will remember you from that, because it's very poignant. But without going into all of that, there's a couple of things. I've heard EastEnders is now introducing vegan food or something. Is that? Have you heard that?
No, that is a true story. That is a true story. They're definitely trying to be more ethical, environmentally friendly, and they, you know, there are a lot of people there that just generally, like I was saying earlier, they want to try to, you know, put something positive out into the world. And to be honest with you, from memory, well, from experience, from working on the set, you know, the food was often terrible because it got cold after a while. So, and often I would always ask for the vegan option or the vegetarian option, and this was before I was vegetarian or vegan, because generally, you know, vegetables or anything that didn't come from an animal just generally just lasted a little bit longer and tasted a bit nicer after a few hours of shooting. So, to be honest, it's probably more convenient for them as well. But I absolutely am over the moon that they've decided to go down that route. So yeah, it's good.
What do you think Mick Carter's going to make of that, aka Danny Dyer? What do you think? Is he going to embrace the
Listen, I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to say that.
Ranks, do you think?
Listen, I'm very blessed to say that Dan's one of my very, very, very good friends. He's like a big brother to me, and I'm always pestering him to try vegan options.
Yeah.
Let's have you confirm.
I have succeeded every single time, without doubt, in surprising him. He was doing Nativity, the musical, about a year ago last Christmas, and I popped in to go and see him. And I brought him, a plant-based burger from Honest Burger.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell him it was vegan until after he'd eaten it, and he was none the wiser. He had no idea.
That's really fun. That was really interesting to hear.
He loved it. He loved it.
Karin, you mentioned there's some slides, isn't there? So, Danny, I know we've got our next guest actually waiting. A half hour has flown by, but there's a few slides that have been that hopefully are going to appear. It's that slight technical problem there. Maybe not. Here we go. No, not to worry. So we haven't got the slides. Such a life. I'm sure that that's not the first time that something hasn't appeared live while we're chatting. Yeah, they are some slides. So very briefly, I think there's about a minute per slide.
Sure.
Just talk us through each one briefly. What's on here?
Okay, so I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone watching will have seen these people on the telly at some point. You've got Oliver Farnsworth on your right, who was in Coronation Street. You got me. You got Saran Jones, who was obviously Dr. Foster. She's now doing Gentleman Jack. You've got the wonderful Jake Davis, who did Black Mirror, and he also did Artemis Fowl. And then you've got Zara Abrahams, who's just recently joined EastEnders as well. She's also in Corrie and Waterloo Road. Now, this was my very, very first job in the West End in a production called Beautiful Thing, and it's a coming-of-age love story about two young homosexuals.
Brilliant. And your first appearance in the West End. How did you feel about that? Excited, nervous?
Oh, I was buzzing. I was just so excited, and it was such an important subject as well. You know, during the early 90s, there was a law called Section 28 that Margaret Thatcher brought in, which meant that you wasn't allowed to speak about homosexuality in schools. And, you know, it's an incredibly backward way of thinking, and I'm glad it's completely gone and abolished. And, you know, it was the 20th anniversary of it. What a way to celebrate that gone and celebrate love and equality. It was amazing to be a part of it.
Oh, that's incredible. Who's this?
So this is Django. God bless his soul. This is Django. This was this I think I would say is the first time I fell in love. This was I took him for a walk in Tunbridge Wells for the very first time after he's had his second injection along a cricket field, and I was very, very frightened to take him off the lead, but he would follow me everywhere anyway. So I realised that if he decided to go to take a run for it, I could run faster than him anyway. I took him off the lead and he didn't leave my side. And I laid down just to kind of soak in a bit of sun. It was a nice sunny day. And he, on his own accord, went and laid there and I took a picture. And that is just a visual representation of the bond we have. And I just miss him a lot.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, we all know about this really, don't we? But come on, tell us a bit more.
Well, this was actually the second time I'd met Danny. And the second time I'd met Kelly. So Danny and Kelly, Danny Dyer, Kelly Bright, they were in my audition. I got cast, and then it all just happened like that. And then I got thrown into the Queen Vic. These were my own clothes. They hadn't even given me costume at that point.
Oh.
I don't know why I decided to wear those clothes. You know, I just thought, what's East End? And I thought London, something written with London on it. You know, I was young at the time. I was only 22. You know, this was 8 years ago. This was a long time ago.
Wow.
And, incredible actor Kelly is. I mean, I did see a bit of the part she played Linda, and I was actually spellbound by some of it. I lost the telly. I haven't had a telly for 9 months, so I haven't watched any of it. But
she's incredible.
You've been very lucky there to be acting with two superb people there. But well done, because it's not just luck; it's your own skill and talent and hard work. and an inspiration for people to do that. So yes, here's
Thank you,
his
Jim.
dog again.
Oh,
So this is Django again. This was actually outside the house. This I just put him in the car. This was when I very first picked him up down in Bognor Regis. And the main reason why I posted this is because he was a nameless dog at that point. He had no name. And if you notice right at the very bottom, it says 556 comments. And that's because I encouraged the fans or I prefer the word supporters, to give him a name. And I went through every single one of them. And I think one or two mentioned the name Django, and it just worked. Actually, that's a lie. Suggs. His first name, I originally called him Suggs. His name was Suggs for about an hour. And for some reason, after playing with him in the car, it just didn't quite work. So I then went with Django. It just seemed a lot better. Or it's more suited to him because, like I was talking about animals with personalities, he had a personality that just suited the name Django. And may I add as well, his name was loved so much that Richard Blackwood actually stole the name. And because he was in EastEnders at the time, and called his little black pug Django as well. And we both went to the Animal Hero Awards and was asked to present an award, and I outed him in front of everyone. And I said, I just want to know, this is the original Django. The Django to my right, the pug, is not the original. He stole the name, obviously in jest. And then, perfectly in sync with this photo, I then went on to name his son, may I add, Suggs. After his dad's name for about an hour, because obviously dogs don't get second names generally. So the only way I could possibly name Suggs in honor of his dad would be to call him Suggs.
Oh, that is good.
This is at the Animal Hero Awards with my dad and Suggs in the middle. As you can see, an absolute spitting image of Django, and a completely different dog, obviously. But like when I say that, I mean like the two personalities are just worlds apart, and it's brilliant to get to know him. And what's lovely as well, there's a lovely little spot just at the top of my stairs, and I've got I'm very blessed to have a really nice stained glass window. When the sun's about to set, it shines through the window. And Django used to lay there and look out into the window. And I placed Django's ashes there. And that's now where Suggs lays. And Suggs now lays out that window. And he looks like he's looking at his dad. And it's really sweet.
Oh, that's amazing. Danny, we're so thankful to have your support. We could chat for many more hours, I think. I can tell that, like Tim and I, talking about veganism and the animals is really, it's a very special place in your heart. We love your enthusiasm. Can you just leave us with some inspirational words for my viewer out there that's just in and they're just thinking, shall I go vegan? What shall I do it? What would you say, Danny Hatchard?
I would say if you really, really want and love the idea of going vegan because you want to deter yourself from eating animals and sentient beings, I would say don't be scared. It's a journey. It's a fun journey, and it should be a fun adventure, and it should be a very educational one at that. We live in a world of social media and the internet, which is just a fountain of knowledge. You can learn everything and anything that you need to learn on there. Also, may I add, there are a handful of necessities that I feel like everybody needs in their kitchen. You've got this here, which is called liquid smoke. Liquid smoke. You've got this thing here, which is called, it is a nutritional yeast. You get plenty of B12 using these. And then you get all your sauces as well, like sriracha sauce and stuff like that. But also, may I add as well that I would get yourself a spice rack because you are about to enter a world of fantastically delicious food. I grew up eating meat, the same old four meats: chicken, beef, what are the other ones? I've gone so long without eating them now, I can't even remember what else I was eating. Goat or sheep or whatever, just generally eating animals or fish, and they would be flavorless because they're not meant to be eaten. The only reason why they tasted good is because you seasoned them, and if you season vegetables and beans and pulses and lentils enough, they taste even better, I assure you. So one thing that I would encourage you to do is just go on to, there's a fantastic pair of gentlemen that run a channel called Bosch on Instagram. and they also have a Facebook channel as well, and they are fantastic with regard to educating people on how to use spices and how to cook food properly. I would say, now you asked me to leave you with a bit of wisdom, I'm about to do that now, and this is what I recommend to everybody. I would say, if you want to be vegan, give yourself a year. Give yourself a year, and this is what I recommend you do. You learn one new vegan dish every week. One. You designate one day. If you want to do vegan Mondays, fine, but it doesn't matter. You don't need to stick with the status quo. You pick one day of your choice, whatever's most convenient. One day a week. End of the year, you have 52 recipes, and then you can eat the rest of those 52 recipes for the rest of your life, and you'll never go back.
Oh, Danny, I love it. Will you promise us you're going to come back on another time?
Of course, absolutely.
Oh, what an inspirational. Thank you so much. We've absolutely loved speaking to you, Danny. Thanks for giving up your time tonight. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for supporting the cause, and thank you for inviting me along.
Oh.
Thank you.
Awesome, Danny. Thanks a lot.
See you later. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you. Oh my God, what a fantastic guest.
What a cracker. Well done. You put the cracker there. Honestly, it was really interesting. Really, really interesting. Danny, well done. That was really interesting to listen to you. And congratulations on what you've achieved, because it's a very, very demanding trade. It's a very tough one to make. I know that. And, to succeed like that, it's really good. It's really inspirational to be able to spread that message within your work there. It's also a really valuable gift. So, talking of valuable gifts, we have a pretty fabulous second guest coming up too, Karin.
I know.
Good to be sat in on this one, I've got to say. So, before we go any further, Karin Ridges, what a cracker. Thanks very much. You put a cracker here.
I know. We get to hang out with the best people. I mean, I feel very lucky. I've known Gary for a little while. Our next guest, Gary Webster, he knows I absolutely am in love with his wife, who I've adored for many years. Gary and I, we've been out to dinner with Wendy. We've been at events with Wendy. He's just the best guy ever. They'll come on my radio show again, which is coming back next year. And I just love him. So I'm thrilled to have him on the Christmas Cracker Show. And I'm also utterly so happy that he's joined the vegan club with us now. So let's see the power of the internet. Do we have the most fantastic Gary Webster about to join us?
Yes.
Yay!
Look at that. That's amazing. It works.
I can't believe
very
it.
impressed.
No. It's fantastic. Gary, you're looking fabulous.
Well, thank you very much. I don't know if that's Orlando Bloom or somebody on your screen, but I'm feeling okay. I'm breathing, which is always a good sign, I find, in the mornings. So if I wake up breathing, then the day's mine. So.
Oh, no, it's so great. We're big fans. We love you. We love Wendy. We're going to speak to Wendy next time, because we thought, let's speak to Gary and find out about you. Chatting about, what you're up to. I know you're doing some brilliant work at the moment. I know it's obviously a tough time because we've had lockdown. I know your theatre show couldn't go ahead, which is obviously very disappointing, to say the least. But I also know that, you did the last Veganuary, and it had a very big impact on you, didn't it?
What's that? Sorry?
You did the last Veganuary.
What did you say then?
Yeah, you did the very last Veganuary, didn't you? And I know that had a big impact on you.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, obviously, when living with Wendy, I'd already years and years ago begun to curb my meat, intake, etc. So I've been vegetarian for some years now. And then at the turn of the year, I had a throw, and I was, whilst doing the theatre at the early part of rehearsals, etc., wasn't on top form. So I made the commitment to do the January obviously at the start of the year, and I found that I could actually move on from being vegetarian to vegan, because there was a couple of pointers for me in the whole thing in respect of it was always difficult for me to have a cup of tea without milk, cow-based milk, and maybe eggs, but in actual fact, obviously the eggs and the cheese isn't so good for me, someone like me, getting on in a little bit, and you want to watch the diet. And the kind of evolution of Oatly milk for me has been a revelation. So, because soya kind of milk didn't work for me in that regard to a cup of tea or my cereal, but Oatly does work fantastically. So once I've sort of knocked out those last few elements, it's almost like giving up smoking and stopping the one after the meal, or the one after a beer, or the one after. Yeah, we won't get into that, but you know what I'm saying. So I was just knocking out those final few sort of cigarettes, and I'm so happy that it's worked, and I think the produce out there now for vegans is fantastic, but it's not necessarily for the converted. I think it's available for everybody now, and I think as we move forward, our main aim is always to not necessarily preach to the converted, but to get on board the common man and woman in the street who has always had a view of veganism and what it stands for and what you can eat and what you have to sacrifice to become a vegan. I think now's the time to actually get those people involved and say there is no sacrifice, only enhancement, so only better for your health, only better for the planet, only better for animal welfare. If you've got a dog and you've got a child and you've got something else, by becoming vegan will only benefit their lives and their children's lives, and you know what I'm saying. So that's our aim, is to focus on pulling them in. So the guy or the woman who wants a burger and chips, get a vegan burger and chips. The quality now is unbelievable, So it's been a year, so it'll be our first fully vegan Christmas dinner for me. So that's going to be great.
Oh, that's lovely. And I think, do you think things like Veganuary, which Veganuary just won our Best Vegan Initiative Award as well,
Sure.
By a long shot, do you feel that things like Veganuary are, they're helping people make a better decision? They're helping them make the decision to go vegan. Do you think?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think it's like any incentive, and it's also by having a specific month put aside, or a week or day, or it allows us for people to be informed about what is available and what can be done.
Oh, come in.
No, hold on. Yeah, okay. No, he's getting out. So that allows for people to actually take some time out to get informed about what's on offer out there and why maybe going vegan is going to benefit them, the children, their animals. So I'm all for it. But hopefully we will get into the situation where it will become commonplace and we won't necessarily need, a month to promote that. Hopefully, on this, year of turmoil and information and awareness, it's like there's a Black Awareness Month, and I think the aim is to that education about where just taking that as another example of where Black people stand in this country's history should be taught as norm in every level of education and not necessarily set aside 1 month for it. It should be in books, learning, and so everyone learns together about our history and what we have to, and I think setting aside a vegan month is absolutely the correct thing to do, but hopefully 10, 20, 30 years time we won't need that because every month will be a vegan month, so I think but things have to be done, initiatives have to be started. It's a wonderful thing because at the moment it's exponentially is a word that we use a lot these days, and I think it's because it's becoming okay for, as I say, the common man and woman in the street to get involved, and I think once that happens, then the snowball, you won't be able to stop the snowball.
I love that, Gary.
Rolling
That's
down that
brilliant.
hill.
Oh, that's fantastic. I know we've got some slides, we've got some images we're going to chat through, but before that, Tim, what would you like to ask Gary?
Do you know what? I don't want to get too serious here, Gary, because it's a light-hearted chat and everything. And in fact, tomorrow we're focusing on animal rights for a whole summit.
Yep.
We'll be doing hours of some really informed, quite detailed look. And then even in January, we'll be looking at activism in some detail. But I'm actually quite inspired by listening because, two people I know that have done for January last January, who have been, you've mentioned you've been vegetarian for a long time, and I know within acting fraternity or communities, there's been quite an influence of vegetarian for a number of years. Obviously, our friend Karin Royal has been vegetarian since I think she was 1963, and of course Wendy vegetarian before she was vegan. So you've had this influence a long time. Somebody else who springs to mind is Brian May, the obviously well-known Queen guitarist and campaigner for wildlife. And Brian is someone else who has been gravitating at a pace towards going vegan, and then the veganuary has just tipped Brian into this commitment. And it's really important to remember that. I remember when I was on the peace convoy 35 years ago, and we had a saying that was very apt because a lot of our motors were not that tip-top. And we had a saying to say that the convoy is only as fast as its slowest vehicle.
Correct.
And it's a very important principle to remember that we're going here together and that we need to encourage each other and be kind. And yes, there are very serious issues at stake. We know that. We know there's some serious issues at stake. And it's a very complex issue to help people get to that position that you hope we will see in 10, 20, 30 years' time. But I'm inspired to remind all of us, especially us long-term vegans, that it's really important that we go together on this and that we take the time and the trouble to be kind and supportive and reflective and educative and inspirational and kind of fun and keep moving together and not to leave anyone behind. And as we grow as a vegan movement, to encompass not just in the UK, but then beyond, and make sure that the whole world gets to this point. And that's quite a big challenge. And I'm quite serious.
I think listen, that doesn't mean to say we can't, have this humour about the seriousness of the matter, because if we don't have humour, we will get lost within ourselves, and we would be crying all the time rather than smiling at the times as well. But I think this year has been a catalyst for awareness and the need for more information on many subjects, whether it be animal welfare, Black Lives Matter, LGBT rights, etc. And I think that whereas before, I think this year will be looked upon in history as maybe there might have been some resistance to a lot of these matters because we didn't want to delve too deeply into our past, our history, and who we are and how we affect what's going, forward, the future. But we are not being allowed to do that. We have to now, look at what's happened and look at how we can change. And I think there's a real groundswell of change on many, many important factors. I think are all interlinked, including climate change, because it's all about, in the end, humanity as opposed to not, And if humanity spreads far and wide, it's about how we as the kind of dominant animal on the planet have to care not only about ourselves, but about other sentient beings, the animal world kingdom, etc. And I think this year has allowed us to air those views, as it has, as I say, on many very important subjects. And I think there's been a coming together. And of course, when that coming together happens, you are then becoming direct conflict of people who don't want change. And I think that's what's happening at the moment, whether it be politically, climatically, racially, animal welfare, dietary. I think this will be a seminal year and of a change where the have-nots begin to take over and demand what they want. And I think the idea is to make a smooth transition. So as I say, listen, we understand that the guy who has 3 or 4 pints down the pub and has a nice roast dinner on a Sunday afternoon, he's going to be very difficult to change. He's not going to go straight for, stuffed peppers and a mushroom risotto. So what we have to give him, and what we're being allowed to do now through the development on the animal, on the foods of the plethora of choices we have, is we're able to give him that burger and chips or that roast or sausage sandwich, but it's vegan. And so we're allowing him to almost without shame become a vegan, without kind of judgment by his peers, to become a vegan because it tastes better. Richmond do a set of sausages now that are vegan, that are fantastic. Put them in 2 slices of bread with some vegan spread, tomato sauce. It's fantastic. He can then do that now without immediately going to take the piss or saying, what's the matter with you? Stuffed peppers, and we're now allowing that. And that's the change we have to develop, Because once that happens, as I say, you ain't going to be able to stop it. And we'll achieve our goal. I mean, it's been your goal for many, many years. But we will achieve our goal of, animal welfare. We're stopping climate change. We're looking after other sentient beings. We're looking after ourselves. That's the way I look at 2020.
That's a really positive, actually. That's a really positive.
There I am.
That's very interesting. So before we look, we're not going to go on too long because Karin and I have been talking today for starters.
You're losing
viewers. Probably, we keep it to now, but I know you've got some slides to show, but just before we do that, it's Christmas cracker. Gary, you did fill some extremely big boots in your career. You've done a lot of amazing work, but I am a massive Minder fan from back in the 80s. And I think the pinnacle of your career, I would say, would have to be, becoming Minder when Minder was brought back. So just really briefly, just tell us something amazing for our Christmas cracker.
It wasn't too difficult to fill Dennis Waterman's boots because he's got very tiny feet. Very tiny feet. He's only about size 6 or 7. So in actual fact, all that boxing and all that. But what can I tell you? I'll tell you one story when we was in Australia. Well, yeah, he had a lot of fights, yeah. I would have taken him.
It must have been a lot of fun. Must have been a lot of fun.
Put Ray Daly in the same room as Terry McCann and said, there's only one winner. Uno, me. I'll take. Okay, I'll give you one example of a little Christmas cracker. It was there's 2. I'll give you a quick 2. We was filming in Australia, and George and everybody, he had his trilby on and his coat, and I had my costume, and we were being taken to location, and suddenly out of the blue, a car hits us in our car, and there's a big accident on our way to location. So we get out of the car, what's going on? And a couple jumped out of their car who'd hit us and opened the doors and ran away and ran to a certain safe area and just was looking. And out of that car, because I know it was a YouTube video on recently that went viral, and out of the car came a huntsman spider, which is about the size of my hand, and crawled over the top of their car and went down a drain. And what had happened was the huntsman rest in the sun visors, yeah? And she'd started to drive. The sun was coming up. She pulled down the visor. The spider fell in her lap, which made her veer and crash into us. And so it was that Arthur, I think it made the British press back here that Arthur, because he got out and everyone went, that's Arthur Daly. And the second thing is that whilst we were filming on the streets of Sydney, the Queen visited Sydney as a royal tour. And the crew had asked for the lunch break to be extended because the Queen was going to do a drive past And so there was crowds on the streets of Sydney, and me and George worked our way to the sort of front of the barriers, and he again had his trilby hat on and his camel hair coat, and I was standing with him. And the Queen's entourage comes round, and as she comes round the corner, you could see her waving, and I always swear to God, and so did George, she took a double take. Waving to her and doffing his cap. And I swear to God, and you can see her almost turn her head back and go, Philip, was that architect? You haven't bought a car, have you, my dear? So there's 2 little crackers for you for Christmas.
Oh, they're wonderful, Gary. Oh, I bet you've got hundreds more. For 100
I always remember them.
What a pleasure to act though with George Cole. I mean, George Cole is an absolute legend. Never mind Danny Thornton. But George Cole is a national treasure. I'm sure the Queen would have recognised him straight away, and would have absolutely.
I mean, I just not. Which she did a double take. I think she looked.
Yeah,
is that him?
Cole. I mean,
he was dressed as Arthur.
I have a little Christmas cracker story on that too, actually, which is a little bit apt because not that I was ever married, but my mother-in-law died just last week, and my mother-in-law had a favourite memory. She bought when she first met me was a Arthur Daly's guide to whatever it was in 1985, and I can't remember, but it was a Christmas special came out. It was Arthur Daly's guide to, you know, it's a really, and she bought it for me, which I thought, because she used to call me her son-outlaw, which was, it was just, you know, so there's a fond memory. So, but I know that Minder has brought huge amounts of pleasure to millions, including the Queen, by the sound of it. And Gary, thank you for sharing that, because that really is a cracker, and that's made my day actually. So yeah, and I must admit, I'm well, you know, I would, you know, to get the opportunity to
watch this space. There might be some idea of it might make a return. So watch this space.
Fair boys.
We'll see what happens in 2021. Things are afoot.
We like some exclusives here. For one, Gary, after listening to you speak, I'm just thinking we need Gary as a keynote speaker at VegFest. And for 2, I want to get badges made up saying vote for Gary Webster, because I just think that, you know, we need you running the flipping country. But I'd love to have some slides now as well, because I know Gary's probably going to go off and make Wendy a lovely dinner soon. But Pete, the producer, do we have
about 2 minutes? So we're just going to rattle through a couple of slides. Gary, I know you've sent us some slides. Just give us a quick. They're about a minute each. You get a minute with each slide, and then it will change.
Yeah, cool. That's my 2 wonderful sons, who, along with Wendy, are my life, regardless of any acting or anything else. That's what I live for. And our lovely rescue dog, Newt, who Wendy saw in a Romanian sort of death cage, ready to be, you know, just killed, booked off the streets. She couldn't leave her, so we arranged for her to come home. And I've never had a dog before. I just can't imagine life without her. We can't imagine life without her now. So Newt is very firmly part of our family, whatever happens.
Oh, that's lovely. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Newt as well, haven't I?
Yes, you have. I mean, she's a wonderful dog. Skittish, I think the word is, I've heard. She's skittish. But we love skittish in our family. We're all pretty skittish in our family.
You like some interesting footwear in your family too. I spotted that. But moving on.
Can the afternoon audience take this? This is my lovely mum. Dear Cat. I think that was on mine or her birthday last year. It must have been mine at the start of this year. Yeah, she's had a tough old 18 months, so we kind of visit her, but she's been in a care home and she's not been well, so it's been very difficult to get down and see her, but we love her very much. She's helped us enormously over our troubled times, and you know, she's a game old bird, as they used to say. So We love her, and we can't wait to, when things get pretty normal again, to go down and see her on a more regular basis.
Oh, that's such a lovely picture. Is she still over in Brookwood?
Well, she's Chelmsford now, so yeah. So
well, we say
there was a
hi
funny
to
story.
you,
I'll tell a quick story about her. I got invited once. I'd helped out the Tristram. Oh my God! Oh, that's me replicating. Oh God! How old am I? How I've aged. That's cruel. Cruel. See, that's veganism for you. I look 40 years older. No, I am 40 years older. That's why. I'm happy with that.
What's this? What's going on in the picture there, Gary?
Well, it was on TV, and I said to Wendy, shall I just mirror that for a laugh on Twitter? And so that's what we did to get it as close as possible of what landing a bloody good role for 3 years can do to you if you enjoy it too much.
Is that you? What you in on the telly there?
I think I'm in Minder. That's in Minder. That's in the lockup.
That's what we thought. So there you go, fans. That's Gary in Minder.
I love it.
Which was fabulous. I've got to say, the remake was right up there. I know I'm gushing a bit, but it was right up there. And I mean, I really did enjoy the whole thing. So
the writing was brilliant.
Just an incredible period of your life. But here's
Newt again. She's a beautiful dog. She's got like two eyebrows that people comment on all the time. So she's a wonderfully placid dog with children and everything when we go walking. Although now she's hugely protective of where we are. So if anyone gets close, she barks the house down. So, but as I say, she fits in very well with our family because she's as mad as a hatter, which we love.
And Wendy does some incredible work, doesn't she? And she supports many brilliant charities. I know she's the patron of many. And, she is hands-on. And with her TV show as well, going out to Romania, really showing people, what it's like. It's.
I live in awe of Wendy. I live in awe of Wendy, of what she does, how committed she is to so many charities. Her love of animals, her love of anything that she puts. I mean, she's doing for Together TV at the moment, she's doing little minute segments for Together TV to inform people, and duct tape as well. They're working together to inform people of what little things they could do over Christmas whilst in lockdown or whilst they're sort of in isolation. But yeah, I mean, Wendy is so passionate and so giving, so generous with her time and effort. I'm an extremely lucky person to have met her and to be married to her this long. So, fortunately, she's just anything she can turn her hand to, she's excellent at. As I say, even getting this set up today, she's had to keep coming in and telling me what to press and what not to press. She can draw, she can do this. So, any of the creative talents the boys get is from Wendy. That's for certain.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, we do love Wendy. She's a great friend of VegFest. She's a great friend to me.
Yes.
She inspired me from the moment I saw her on a Viva demonstration, which I've reminded her about. She's just so confident and beautiful. And she is, she's just an inspiration to many, many people. And hearing what you say as well, Gary, it's so lovely. You are you're like the vegan power couple now. We just, absolutely love you.
We've had our ups and downs. We're just normal people, just trying to survive like everybody else, and just trying to keep our heads above water. And I think that's why we can relate to a lot of people, because it's it can be down and dirty there sometimes, and as long as we're caring about each other, that's all that matters. Not only within the family, but outside the family too.
Brilliant. Well, look, I know you've spilt some beans. There could be some exciting things on the pipeline. Your blog you've launched as well. Do you want to tell us a little bit? I know Wendy's probably made a lovely dinner and you've got to rush off, but just there anything you want to share? And obviously tell us about the blog and anything else that you're up to that we can follow.
Yeah, no, hopefully, the two plays that we're going to tour, I was actually touring The Cat and the Canary, Bill Kenwright Productions. Hopefully that will get on the road again next year, sooner rather than later. And then The Thunder Girls by Melanie Blake, fantastic writer and producer. So hopefully that's still set to go in the end of next year on tour. I'm writing a blog now called Gary Enough Said, which is Letter from London. So bit of a nick from Alistair Cook there, who used to do Letter from America. And I just felt, with so much injustices going on around the world, out in America, over here, I wanted to give what I was saying within the house a little bit more punch and get it out there, because I think there's a lot of people suffering out there at the moment across the globe. And I think sometimes, if you can use your voice for a positive cause, and to stand in solidarity next to your fellow person, then I think it's time now to speak up, because I think by not speaking up at times, it allows certain governments of the world to get away with literally murder. And so, having experienced some real hardships over the last 3-4 years, I thought it was about time to actually give our voice to those experiencing those hardships, and to say that it's not good enough. We all have to understand, and we all have to be culpable of what's going on. Poverty, 4.1 million children in poverty in the 21st century. That cannot be right. Animal welfare, social, mental health at a terrible peak. It's simply not good enough. And not because I'm an actor or in the public eye, which I'm very rarely am now, whatever. But just as a person, I felt I couldn't remain quiet anymore. If I felt I could leave my children anything, I have to start saying, well, this is not good enough, and we all have to make a change. So that's why I've started to write a blog. Some of it's funny. It's all about funny experiences that happened to me, but the direction of it is trying to give a voice to the unheard. When I wrote a piece in The Big Issue about debt and homelessness, etc., it was to give those people who we pass by on the street every day, or don't give much sympathy to because they've got some money troubles. Well, it's not. It's our fault. It's their own fault. To say it's not always like that, and that's the very time when we should show compassion, and not just dismiss them as they've got it wrong, because we're always a paycheck away from all getting it wrong, And I think with COVID, more and more people have realised that, and I think now is the time to, going forward, to act upon it and to help out those who are struggling. That's all.
I think that's absolutely
You can wake up now.
Oh,
Preaching.
We're hanging on your every word. I'm just thinking, what you're writing. We want everyone to go and check out your blog. But equally, I want to see you in some national newspapers, to be honest, spreading such an incredible message that really needs to get out of there, needs to get out there, Gary. But we absolutely love you to pieces. Yeah, Tim, did you want to add anything? I think we're losing a bit of the internet now, Tim.
No, we're good. So,
get him up. Boo!
It's a little bit of interruption on it, so it's a bit of a delay.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
Okay.
Gary, honestly, I'll
it's been a pleasure.
for the 4 hours.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure to have been invited on. You guys do fantastic work, Karin. As you know, we love you, Tim. Brilliant stuff. So happy to be of help, promotion, support, getting the word out there anytime. So thank you so much for inviting me on. Really always appreciate it.
Well, you are, we're wrapping up the whole of the festival for today, and I can't think of a better guest to do that, Gary, and that's you. And thanks to Danny as well beforehand. But give our love to Wendy and the boys and to New, and we really, really I'm so grateful for for you spending this time with us, Gary. Thank you.
A pleasure. Danny was great. I love what he was saying. So, Tim, Karen, thank you for your time. Brilliant stuff.
Well done, Gary. Thanks ever so much. Thanks for coming on and making a cracker for us to end on with this marathon sprint we've been doing all day. And Karen, thank you so much for joining us. So well done, though. We had a cracking couple of guests. And Karen, that's it. I think we're done for today. That was a pretty interesting hour spent in the company of two really well-known actors who've really highly achieved, both gone vegan quite recently, obviously full of that inspiration and desire to want to spread that message. And let's be honest, that's a message that we do need to. It's really interesting to hear Gary talking about other social justice issues and about wanting to use his position to amplify them. Really, really good little chat. So well done, Karin. You pulled a cracker again. You pulled a couple of crackers out. Well done. We better say goodbye.
Oh, I know, it's very sad, but as always, it flies by. If you've tuned in part way through the show, obviously you'll be able to watch again. Go over to VegFest UK. Go over to our social media as well. All we ask is that you give us loves and likes and share our brilliant shows. I'm not being funny. I mean, you know, the effort that goes in behind all the planning, all the scheduling, all the speaking to people, sorting everything out. We do this because we are passionate vegans. We want to keep VegFest UK alive during this really difficult year. VegFest UK are the world leaders, in my mind. They're the biggest vegan festivals in the whole of Europe. We can't be at London Olympia this year, but we are doing our very, very best to bring you great guests, information, new products, wonderful companies. We've got our awards. All of this will happen tomorrow as well. We've got more guests lined up. And I want to say big love and thanks to my wonderful BFF, who is an absolute inspiration. You won't know, my lovelies, what effort Tim puts into this. And we're very lucky to have Tim, very lucky to have Pete, the producer. And, you know, thank you, Tim, for letting me be a part of VegFest UK. It's very special to my heart. And thank you for everything you do for veganism. A lot of people, you know, owe you a lot. So thank you, Tim. And thank you for watching. I'm going to shut up now, but thank you for tuning in to my Christmas cracker. I hope you love the guests, and we will put down their social media so you can find out more about these two wonderful men that are passionate vegans like Tim and I. So, yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Karen. Well done. Thanks very much, people. See you tomorrow. Good night.